What up, Block fam? Welcome to a very special episode. We're starting work on the 2025 Heritage. We've got some special guests here in the building with some serious equipment. Welcome Harley-Davidson. So they are filming for us building this bike for Born Free. If you guys aren't aware of Born Free, check out the details all in the description below.
Well, especially with Harleys, more than anything, I think that the whole idea is to make it your own, right? Shape it to where it fits your personality or your style.
As an old, dirty old biker who does greasy old chopper stuff, I want everything to appear as though Harley got a wild hair and built this killer chopper at their factory.
We want to really create something that's incredible, that's going to stand up to the name that is Born Free.
You know, us coming together as one big community, showing the culture, you know, this bike it's going to be part of history books.
You know, there's a lot of pressure where it's like, you're not a builder or she doesn't deserve to be there. Everybody always has their opinion. The trick is just not letting the outside noise affect you.
Some guys would be like, no, I'm not touching this thing. I'm a chopper guy and I used to be like that. But all I see out of this is learning. I'm gonna do something different. I think there's a lot of potential.
We are going to be essentially taking some parts off of this bike so that we can get a good look at the frame of it, because what we're building this into, drop a comments or drop a guess down below. Everybody's guessing Vicla or Cholo, but not this time for us. So this time around, we are building this bike into a resto mod of sorts. Wouldn't that be like reverse resto mod though, right? Because we're making it look older. For those of you that don't know, essentially a resto mod, it happens a lot in the automotive space, cars. You take like an old car, like from whenever, 30s, 40s, 70s or whatever, and you basically keep the look of it, but you update the technology and the performance of it. So you want that vintage flavor, but modern performance. That's exactly what we're doing here, but we're taking something new and we're gonna make it look old. We are going to basically build this into, as close as we can, replicating a 1937 Harley-Davidson knucklehead. Why a knucklehead? Honestly, because they're sick and because they're unobtainium. You can't find them anywhere, right? And then if you do find them, they're crazy expensive. We do have a special surprise further down the road. For those of you that do remember watching these episodes, I put out some information a while back, a request a while back saying if anybody knows of a knuckle that's up for grabs, that's not insanely expensive, let me know. I did end up getting notified, ended up buying 1947 Harley-Davidson knucklehead engine EL a couple years ago. Haven't been talking about it until just now, so exclusive. Also, ended up finding a pretty butchered frame, which we are going to be restoring. We also ended up getting a 1930s era front end by total accident from Zach Hines, previous like Born Free invited builder, which we'll drop an entire episode on. It's crazy, it's a small world. So in this episode, get to taking everything off so we can see the lines of this bike, because we want to get this thing as close to 1937 knuckle as we can. So Skadoosh, welcome back to the Heritage episode where we basically tore this thing down to be able to see the lines of it. We can't see the lines of it anymore because there's all these damn boxes in the way. They all say JMP on them because JMP stepped up massive for this build. Can't thank them enough. Big shout out to JMP Cycles. You guys check out the link down in the description below. This company literally has everything that you could want. They've got helmets, which we're doing tons of helmet reviews with JMP Cycles right here. We just did one on the Simpson Mod Bandit, which Justin rode with, unboxed, checked out, all that. And we've got more helmets on the way, from Biltwell to Sedici to Shoei to Scorpion, but we got in a ton of bike parts from them. Like I said, they've got everything. If you want gear, you want bike parts, you want maintenance items, they've got it all. This is a very, very weird order because it's not stuff that most people would probably order. It's a very different direction that we're going for this build. Let's unbox all this stuff and I'll show you guys exactly what I mean by saying this is very untraditional, very weird. You guys are gonna understand what I'm saying. You wanna hit it with that snap?
Sure. Right here?
Right there.
All right, let's get it.
Whoa. Dude, that unbox snap, so convenient. As close as we can replicate to a 1937 Harley-Davidson knucklehead. I've actually got somebody on the way here right now that we're manufacturing some custom parts for it that aren't available on the market. We're in the very beginning stages, but it's one of those, you know, we're creating it ourselves. So just to kind of go through what we have here, we've got a ton of parts. Let's go ahead and run through it. We've got a old school hinged rear fender. So hinged rear fender, you guys know, back on the, well, if you don't know, back on the 1937 Harley-Davidson knuckleheads were so different as compared to today's motorcycles. I wanted to try to do this to kind of pay homage to that, but then also to get that flavor so that we have that old school flavor, but with modern performance, you know. The vintage style fenders, both front and rear. So this is a hinged fender. Back in the day, you basically would undo the bolts here. This would lift up. It would allow you to be able to take the rear wheel off. Vintage style taillight. So all of this should be pretty much era correct, but it is not originals. No reason to do original stuff from, you know, the 37s on this bike. If I were to try to buy like an original fender or original taillight, I mean, like fenders alone, like just the tins for a 37 knuckle or early 40s knuckle would be thousands of dollars. So we're going with replica parts from V-Twin Manufacturing. We've got a rear horn mount bracket, which is going to be for our vintage style horn. Bracketry goes on the back of it, that will go on the front, which we're gonna work our way there. We also have vintage toolkit. Basically, this is the box that would come on the frames back in the day that would mount up here, and on them usually you would have your little Harley-Davidson like patent right here, which that's what I'm talking about. So that old school style stuff. This is actually one of those decals that you wet, you know, with water, and it's like a water transfer decal so that it shows up really well under clear coat. So we've got this to go on the side of the toolbox. We do have it lined up to get painted with Bombshell Deluxe, who we've used to paint a number of our previous builds, and she always kills it. I've been in speaks with her about the paint job on this one, and we're gonna essentially replicate a 37 knucklehead paint job that they did for the Delphine Blue, which was a half model year release. Originally when they released it, it was 2 or 3 colors. They realized sales weren't doing so well, and then they ended up releasing a mid-year color, which was the Delphine Blue. With that paint job, the tank had a certain style logo on it, which is what this is here. These are also water transfer, so they should look great on paint, under clear coat, like kind of gold shimmer to them. Once it's all painted, will be that Delphine Blue, like that reddish color in pinstriping, and then also gold leaf. It's gonna be a killer paint job. I know Bombshell's gonna knock it out of the park like they always do. Them deluxes, man. I think we've got their little banner up over there even. The seat, we've got this big old boy right here. So this is a tractor style seat. This is what they used to come with back in the day, right? And they would set like right here. The way that they had these mounted was actually on this T-bracket, right? So like this, to the seat like so. So we've got all the hardware to go with it. Would mount between 2 pieces here. Now usually they had them like higher up, right? Or like more forward even. And then for suspension, they literally had a spring going through the entire part of the bike, right? To basically like the underside. And that was like a pogo style spring. So it does compress. I don't think that we're gonna be able to use this. Once we remove the suspension here, we're not gonna have that much room to go before we get to the transmission. So we definitely don't want the seat to be mounted like way the hell up there. So the alternative is I'm gonna see if we can actually potentially disassemble this and cut it to length, because I do want to kind of replicate it and build it as accurate as possible, as close as we can within reason. But if we can't do that, they do sell this kit that you can attach these brackets to, and you have this little hydraulic which goes underneath. So that would set kind of right there. Keep in mind, we are also going to be hardtailing this bike. So in just a few weeks, I'm gonna be taking this bike up to Tennessee, and Billy Lane and I are going to be taking the back end totally apart, and we're gonna be hardtailing it. So I've been getting more into fabrication off camera, but I haven't been recording any of this stuff just because, you know, whenever you're first getting into like welding and, you know, metalwork and all that stuff, it's like, it's not good. I don't think I'm to the level of being able to like structurally correctly weld like the back end of this bike. So I talked to Billy Lane. He actually reached out. He said, hey, if there's any way that I can help. And so I was like, actually, I'm thinking about hardtailing this thing. And he's like, 100%, let's do it. He's never done it before, but we've got all the materials ordered. So we're gonna be taking this bike up to him. We're gonna be chopping the back, turning it into a hardtail. And then, I don't know if we're doing this yet, but for the front end, the rake on the current model is a 30-degree rake, whereas the 37s, it was a 28-degree rake, which brought that in just a little bit, changes handling, changes the feel of it quite a bit. The handling is gonna be changed so much on this thing anyways, just with the components that we're doing with hardtailing it. Obviously new front end. It's gonna be quite the process, quite the change of what it is now. For exhaust, the way that they used to mount it up, they had these finned exhaust clamps. I think they look super cool. I don't know if we're actually gonna be able to use them. I would love to be able to. So normally they would have like a pipe coming out and you would basically like clamp that on, and it kind of has some heat sinks, which is pretty cool. Definitely gonna try to use those. We are changing out the pipe, haven't gotten it in yet. I don't know if it's gonna be something that we basically work off of these headers, because it was a 2-to-1, but then it went into a skinny muffler into a fishtail. So definitely gonna be trying to replicate that. So this is a period correct 18-inch Springer front end, which, like I said, we are going to have that horn mounted up on it. We do have the bars. So I think we call them like beach style bars, but they call them speedster bars. So these should set low and wide, exactly like they did back in the day on those old school bikes on the knuckles. And we've got some old school style grips to go on the ends of those. To finish off that front end, we've got old school style fender. Like I said, very period correct with how it attaches to that front Springer. They had drum brakes back in the day. I'm not a fan of drum brakes because they don't really stop. So like I said, we are taking some creative liberties here. We're not 100% trying to be as accurate as possible performance-wise. We want to keep the modern performance, but we want to have the vintage flavor. We've got a good set of parts already here that we should be able to start from. We're going to chop the back of it, like I said, with Billy Lane up in Tennessee. While we're up there in Tennessee, we are going to be doing some performance work to the engine, and we are going to be working with Moonshine Harley-Davidson. We've been kind of going back and forth discussing what we're doing. I don't think we're doing anything too crazy. I'm gonna leave that up to Moonshine. I'm gonna leave that up to Jamie, see how far they wanna go with it. I would just totally be happy with stage 2. Justin, what is that cam that you have in yours again? It's a
475. I ride aggressive, and it's kind of a bit of an aggressive cam for a stock motor.
We rode to Daytona. Whenever you pulled in front of me and I was parking my bike, I saw some footage of it, and your cam was just chop, chop. Definitely what we're aiming for on this. Like, I just want a nice lumpy cam. I don't want Goldzilla 2.0. For those of you that don't know, Goldzilla is our 131 cubic inch Milwaukee 8, done to the nines, It's stage 4, but I would say it's stage 5 because there's head work. We put E85 on it, got it off of E85, but I mean, everything is done to that damn thing. I think last we did like horsepower and torque is in the 160, like mid 160 to high 160s. It's a monster. It's a beast to ride. It's not always fun. I know it sounds fun and it sounds appealing. You want to hit that number, but having something just like a little bit more middle of the road, something with a 475 cam,
Yeah.
it's great, especially on a light bike. And this is a soft tail, so it's not like super heavy. It's not touring. We're gonna see what Moonshine recommends. I'm happy with like stage 2. If they want to flex and they want to go crazy, they want to do some crazy Moonshine stage 4, that is what they are known for. Incredibly good at what they do. They're the professionals. We're leaving it up to them. For the tank, so I've been kind of debating, like going a little bit back and forth. Obviously with bikes from back then, they had tank shift. So you basically have like some bracketry here and then shifter coming up. Now that would actually connect to the transmission, and it was either, one way would be upshift, the other way would be downshift, or it would be like kind of gated, so it'd be like have positions for whatever gear you wanted. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing that because that would require us to do a foot clutch. I'm not against foot clutch. I have a bike that actually has foot clutch. We built a 1960 Harley-Davidson panhead into a chopper. Do have experience with it, but what I was thinking, and I don't know if we're gonna be able to do this, but rather than having the shifter on the tank, we would still have basically a lever coming up. Instead of shifting and going to the transmission, it would be like the clutch lever. Now, I know we'd be able to take the clutch lever off of here, and if we want to just kind of route it, and then I've seen people where they have it on the tank and it just sticks like straight up and you pull it like that, which would be kind of cool. Wouldn't be period correct though. Trying to figure out a way, like if we could essentially have that perch somehow here, but whenever we pull, it would be the clutch lever. I just kind of have to wrap my head around it a little bit, probably take this apart and just figure out how the mechanics would work. So this would still shift up, shift down, and then that would be relocated to the tank. That's the plan. Currently, we're gonna put the bike back together and we're actually gonna ride it and enjoy it in its stock form. Man, I miss riding a stock bike, honestly. Crucy said the same thing, which is funny because we got a box from Crucy right here for some Dyna stuff. Crucy was saying the same thing whenever him and I were talking about the last build-off stuff, was it's actually nice to be able to ride a stock bike whenever, we're constantly building them to the nines. Harley-Davidson does a great job of like really hitting that appeal so that, like a bike appeals to everybody. I know a lot of people say like, oh, they should come with the 131 in them. It's like, not everybody wants that. Not everybody's gonna like be an aggressive rider or like utilize that. So I think they do a good job coming out of the factory with like hitting that very like middle of the road, appeals to a little bit of everybody. I gotta figure out what the do with the headlight. Here's a picture of the bike. We've got the white grips, we've got the bars, we've got the Springer, we've got the fender, the seat, black. You guys can see how it does the pogo. Like this is an actual knuckle. It's an actual 37 knuckle. As you guys can see on the headlight, it's just the single, but it is a very large headlight. It's taller than the bars. So that large headlight, if we could keep just that center one, do away with this, or we could keep the whole array. I don't know. Once again, that's like kind of that mixture of, do we keep it to this level of like matching it as close as we can, or do we keep the performance of the modern day headlights? I mean, I'm gonna keep the LED for sure. And then yeah, the exhaust, we're gonna try to get something like this. Like I was saying earlier, there's a little tool chest. I really gotta figure out like from the factory, which one was which, because this one has like a round air cleaner, and then this one's got like this little cover on it. Lots of work to do. Like I said, for the time being, we're gonna get everything back together, ride it, enjoy it. We're gonna create some content on it, film some episodes. I hope you guys are stoked for this one. I'm really looking forward to like doing a build like this because, especially for Born Free, it's like a lot of old school stuff, right? And so Harley basically said, would you want the opportunity to do a build on one of the newer bikes, the Softail line, starting with something so new, but like getting it to look so old is a lot of what they've done with like their icons, right? And they've done a great job with that. And so essentially we're trying to pay homage to that, vintage style stuff, the heritage, which is perfect for this bike because it's a heritage. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. If you guys have any ideas, we're all ears. Drop them down in the comments below. Definitely let us know. I'll be sure to read all the comments. And that's one of the things I love about this community is that like sometimes like I'll overlook something or I won't have an idea, but you guys will say something and it's like, bam, like that's amazing. So if you guys have any advice on this stuff, If you've done anything similar, seen anything similar, definitely let us know. Drop a comment down below. I'm gonna go ahead and get to work on getting all these parts back together. So we've got all the stock parts sitting over here that we took off earlier, and yeah, we're gonna reassemble. So hope you guys enjoyed the episode though. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like button if you're not subscribed. If you wanna see the future content on this build, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon also so it sends notifications of future uploads and activity. And until next time, guys, ride safe, stay vigilant. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.